Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I usually don't set an alarm on Sundays, but the bright sunlight bursting through the two large windows in my room is always enough to wake me up. There's a certain warmth to the winter sun, even in the morning, unlike the harshness of the same sun in the summer. It feels like the difference between having a hot cup of coffee in the summer and the same in the winter. Same coffee, same me, but a different feeling. I lie in my bed for another hour, scrolling mindlessly through the news on my phone. Like each morning, the world seems to be on fire. My eyes, still tired and groggy, rest on my copy of What I Talk About When I Talk About Running by Haruki Murakami. I get up, swipe it off the bookshelf, and jump back into bed. Enough reality for now. Let me dive a little into what used to be real, the comfortable certainty of the past. It's a book about running, technically, a memoir written while Murakami prepared for yet another marathon. But I always felt Murakami used running merely as a metaphor for life and writing. All the advice he has for running applies well to life and writing, and all the advice he has for writing applies to running and life. I flipped through my earmarked copy, landing on page 76, where Murakami talks about what he thinks are the important qualities of a novelist. It's pretty obvious. Talent. How discouraging. Fortunately, he goes on. No matter how much enthusiasm and effort you put into writing, if you totally lack literary talent, you can forget about being a novelist. The problem with talent, though, is that in most cases, the person involved can't control its amount or quality. Talent has a mind of its own and wells up when it wants to, and once it dries up, that's it. Of course, certain poets and rock singers whose genius went out in a blaze of glory, people like Schubert and Mozart, whose dramatic early deaths turned them into legends, have a certain appeal. But for the vast majority of us, this isn't the model we follow. It is quite heartwarming that Murakami includes himself in the vast majority. After talent, Murakami mentions focus and endurance as the two main qualities of a novelist. Fortunately, these two disciplines, focus and endurance, are different from talent since they can be acquired and sharpened through training. You'll naturally learn both concentration and endurance when you sit down every day at your desk and train yourself to focus on one point. Patience is a must in this process, but I guarantee the results will come. Raymond Chandler once confessed that even if he didn't write anything, he made sure he sat down at his desk every single day and concentrated. The whole process, sitting at your desk, focusing your mind like a laser beam, imagining something out of a blank horizon, creating a story, selecting the right words, one by one, keeping the whole flow of the story on track, requires far more energy over a long period than most people ever imagine. I keep the book aside and hop out of bed feeling a bit optimistic. I love Murakami. It's interesting that when people say they love a writer, they actually mean they love their work. Sometimes it may just be that they love one book of that writer that they'd read at some point in their life. I don't know how Murakami is in his real life. I've never met him. I've never even seen a video of him talking. I've seen a few pictures. I've read a few of his many books. Yet I say with all my heart, I love Murakami. I love him for Kafka on the Shore, and I love him for Norwegian Wood. Norwegian Wood might be one of my favorite novels, along with Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby and Walker Percy's The Moviegoer. All of them people with talent, either inborn or acquired. Writers who are blessed with inborn talent can freely write novels no matter what they do or don't do. Like water from a natural spring, the sentences just well up, and with little or no effort, these writers can complete a work. Occasionally, you'll find someone like that, but unfortunately, that category wouldn't include me. I have to pound the rock with a chisel and dig out a deep hole before I can locate the source of creativity. To write a novel, I have to drive myself hard physically and use a lot of time and effort. Every time I begin a new novel, I have to dredge out another new deep hole. I can't ever imagine Murakami having to pound the rock with a chisel to write a novel. When I read Norwegian Wood, the love of Toru and Naoko broke my heart, yet I couldn't stop smiling in awe as I soaked the beautifully woven sentences. If hard work can result in such a beautifully written story in the streets of Tokyo, perhaps there's still hope for the rest of us. The smell of freshly squeezed lime, mashed avocado, and coffee brings a comfortable feeling to my morning. A feeling of certainty, a feeling of familiarity. Certainty and familiarity two feelings we crave yet can rarely keep for long. Sunday is familiar, but Monday usually brings chaos. As we march out of our castles into the wild, bombarded by a sea of unknown faces, it's easy to lose our sense of individuality. We become part of the population and doubt anyone would ever care about our quirks. If you think about it, it's precisely because people are different from others that they're able to create their own independent selves. Take me as an example. It's precisely my ability to detect some aspects of a scene that other people can't, to feel differently than others and choose words that differ from theirs that's allowed me to write stories that are mine alone. So the fact that I'm me and no one else is one of my greatest strengths. The air is cold, but the sun's warm enough to provide some sense of comfort. It hits my eyes, which haven't seen much daylight since yesterday, like an angry wave crashing into a rock. The good thing about waking up at 7 in the morning is that it takes a long time for noon to arrive, which is still a few hours away. I see a few people running on the sidewalks, going in various directions, their torsos drenched in varying quantities of sweat. It's a good morning for a run. I like to run, but only run on days my will overpowers my laziness. Not Murakami though. He's been running for years, marathons and triathlons every year. When he wrote this book, he had run about 25 marathons and many triathlons. To him, running and writing are made of the same principles. It doesn't matter what field you're talking about. Beating somebody else just doesn't do it for me. I'm much more interested in whether I reach the goals that I set for myself. So, in this sense, long distance running is a perfect fit for a mindset like mine. As I walk around the block, seeing more people run makes me feel a bit guilty and insecure. I see their perfect running form and their pace and feel like I might never achieve that. How could I ever compete with them? The point is whether or not I improved over yesterday. In long distance running, the only opponent you have to beat is yourself, the way you used to be. I unlock the door and get inside. The dishwasher is still running, doing whatever it does inside that box. For some reason, I always imagine a dishwasher to work like a laundry machine. All the dishes spinning clockwise and anti-clockwise for an hour until they're clean. That can't be true. All the dishes would break each time. Although, that would be one way to get clean dishes each time. I look at my pair of running shoes lying in the corner, staring at me in disappointment. What I mean is, I didn't start running because somebody asked me to become a runner, just like I didn't become a novelist because someone asked me to. One day, out of the blue, I wanted to write a novel, and one day, out of the blue, I started to run, simply because I wanted to. I've always done whatever I felt like doing in life. People may try to stop me and convince me I'm wrong, but I won't change. I get back to my desk, flip open my laptop, and stare at the screen. I sit motionless for a while, staring at the screen the same way the shoes stare at me, but with fear instead of disappointment. I wonder if someday I'll simply run out of words. The clock next to me ticks away and I keep getting older, second by second. My mind racing through the list of things I want to or have to or need to do. In a tug of war between have to and want to, our hearts get constantly torn apart each day. Most runners run not because they want to live longer, but because they want to live life to the fullest. If you're going to while away the years, it's far better to live them with clear goals and fully alive than in a fog. And I believe running helps you do that, exerting yourself to the fullest within your individual limits. That's the essence of running, in a metaphor for life. And for me, for writing as well. I pick up the book, flip through the pages one last time, and put it back into my bookshelf between the many books still waiting to be read. Perhaps I'll pick it up again some other morning as yet another feeble attempt to escape reality, knowing well the ephemeral nature of my escape. The only thing real is the present, all else simply a figment of imagination. The clock hits noon. I start writing.